Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad that you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We have a psychotherapist on and author of this wonderful book, What Happened to the Prince I Married, Sirah Vitesse, who is here from California to sit in our studio and speak with us about the wisdom that she has been gathering for many years, and a wise woman she really is. She has come to understand something about the nature of relationships, men and women, in a way that by reading this book is clearly very profound. She's made a real gift to people, and many people have benefited tremendously from the work that she's been doing and continues to do. So we're very glad to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful treat to be with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I started reading this book, Sirah, and I started getting moved from the outset. What you're beginning to grapple with is something that is really sort of the psychological and emotional underpinning of our lives together, men and women. And while there are many books on the subject of relationships and how do people get along and all of this, honestly, they felt superficial to me next to the way you just kind of went, wow, right into the heart of things by looking at, especially to start with, the subject of beauty and the beast. Mm-hmm. Could you just speak to us a little bit about what motivated you to bring that forth?
Well, I appreciate your kind words. What I intended to do was get beneath the superficial aspects of a relationship and go deeper into one's experience personally. And life is very complex. We are very complex. And for us to understand another, we must truly understand ourselves. And I think that the story in Beauty and the Beast is very powerful in that we all have beautiful aspects of our being, and we all have a beast inside that is also at work all the time. So both are challenging us every moment of every waking, time that we're in a human form. We're always being challenged. Who are we now? Who are we now? And
yes.
And it can be from the simplest point of, from being kind and considerate in one moment to, in another moment, being raging and angry and hurt and having all these confusing feelings, or any level of beast can come out of us.
Yes.
What I wanted women to understand in this book is that while we often so comfortably and easily make our partners wrong, the truth is, in making them wrong, we make ourselves wrong. Because if we choose to be with someone and there's difficulties in the relationship and they are acting and behaving in a beastly way, our partners, then the truth is, in some form, it's a gift to us. We must understand what the connection is to our own experience of life. So, for example, in the story, Beauty is awestruck with this beastly person.
Being.
He's a beast. He's a being.
Yes.
And she's taken up with him, and she soon falls in love with him, but is extremely confused about his behavior. And you see her go through a metamorphosis experience as she's challenging herself and trying to understand, what is this beast about and how do I deal with him? She realizes that she's going through her own transformation, which is what the power is in the experience. If you allow a transformation to happen in the context of a difficult situation in your partnership, then you can come out healed of some very deep and dark experience within yourself.
Now, is that deep and dark experience that you're referring to, do you think that's something of the kind of the whole of collective human consciousness?
Exactly.
Or it is?
It's a part
but it's
of
also, so it's got a universal function, but it's also
it's a part of our
a
own
local,
experience.
personal,
Yes.
like early family trauma?
Many things can contribute to that personal thing. So just continuing in the story, Beauty finds herself in the pain. She discovers her power and her ability to actually change what's going on in her situation through her willingness to go through her struggle. And turn the beast into something that is so beautiful, so innocent, so precious, and so loving he still appears to be a beast on the outside, but she helps him transform that into something beautiful on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he turns into a glorious soul,
Yes.
beautiful energy, and she has this incredible feeling of power, that she's affected this change through her own ability to struggle with herself and go through her own darkness in the context of what this relationship is all about.
Yes.
So that's really, I think, what we all need to come to understand in any relationship where a struggle arrives. Here we are in this struggle with each other, fighting each other on something. The truth is, if we surrender to the struggle, if we embrace it, if we acknowledge that even though it's dark and difficult and painful, and we each do our work, whether you have a willing partner or not, it doesn't really matter. If you're willing, one person in the relationship is willing to go into that struggle and define it for themselves and work on why that struggle is there in the relationship, but in the context of their own issues, they will come out knowing and have power to change the situation. Because instead of being reactive, they'll be receptive. Most of us end up very reactive when we're confronted with
Definitely.
things that are not comfortable.
What I notice, Sirah, is that for myself, love has the power of maybe the best psychological vernacular I could use is melting. I just feel that the hardness or tension or setness that I can find in myself at times just softens. It melts.
So even if you didn't have enough of that experience to melt the tension within yourself, imagine what it would be like to be with a partner who has fully arrived at that or working with that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And even in a difficult situation, if you're not able to reach that point in any given moment, that somehow your partner is. I talk about how female
It seems that
energy-
women live more in that space, by and large. I mean, by and large, or is that not necessarily?
I don't think that's true. I think it's a different context. We're given a lot of permission to love.
Yeah.
We're mothers.
Right,
We
exactly. Well, maybe
breastfeed
that's
our
why.
children,
Yeah.
and I think that men have. I
It's
think they
culturally much more supported.
Exactly, and I think the truth is, what's great, it seems to be happening more and more in the world, is that men are participating as much as women
In the
rearing
process of,
children and sharing themselves, and it seems to be now becoming much more even in the world.
That really is happening. So that allows men more of a space of nurturance.
Men want it just as much as women.
In the home as well as out of the home, and
Absolutely.
it's becoming more culturally
Absolutely.
possible and
It's
accepted.
happening more and more.
Yeah.
But I was saying that
Yes.
female energies can heal male wounds if a woman is sensitive to the fact that this issue that's arisen between the two of them is not her issue, and that it's something that her partner might be going through, some private struggle, some low self-esteem, some feelings of just energetically anger, or anything that's confusing. We all have those things happen to us.
Sure.
But if in the moment she can distance herself and allow him the experience of going through it, then she's effective. Then she, realizing it's not her and it has nothing to do with her.
So she's not taking it personally.
She's not taking it personally, but she's just there as a constant loving force, not engaging in any negativity about it, just a constant loving force. That's how she can heal male wounds. And of course, she also has to do that for herself. When she has difficulties that arise within her own life, in her own secret world, she has to go inside and feel those dark and difficult feelings, painful feelings. I believe that no is
a wrong feeling.
A wrong feeling. There's no such thing. I mean, however ugly the feeling is, and we could say hatred is an ugly feeling, but if you don't embrace it and acknowledge it within yourself, then what you become is a very hateful person.
It festers.
It festers, and it hurts you. It hurts the individual incredibly. And then, of course, even if you work very hard not to allow those things to seep out of you, they still do somehow.
Yeah.
And other people pick up on it.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the healing goes both ways, of course, because we have an outer coding of being male or female, right. But internally and even biologically, we are the same. We're just
the same.
Granted, the obvious differences of a uterus, etc. Right. There are those things, but genetically, we began
exactly, and because what we want is to love and be loved.
Yes, that's right, as you said before. Correct.
There's nothing more important than that.
Yeah.
There's nothing more healing than that.
In life.
In life, in human existence, it is to love and be loved. That's what we all want.
We want to be happy.
That's right. But happiness is found through love. Love of oneself, love of one's creative force in life.
Yeah.
Whatever. If you have God, if you believe in, the light force of life.
The best definition ends up to be love.
It does.
It really does.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. You never hear of a God of hate, but you hear of a God of love, of course.
Exactly.
And not to say, as you said, that hate or any other feeling, because first of all, hate is just a word that names a feeling, and a feeling, if it's always looking ultimately toward love, then even aggression is just, you could say, a thwarted or distorted way of seeking love. That's one of the things you also mention in the book, in a sense.
Yes, exactly. And the way that I do it, I'm glad you raised this point, is I ask the reader to ask themselves 3 questions. And the questions are, am I safe? Am I loved? And can I feel? Because if one is not safe within oneself, and there are many forces that create a feeling of unsafety. If you've been abused as a child in any way, if you've had emotional pain throughout your life, that is conflicts that are constantly being created, there are many forms of lack of safety. And you as a therapist would understand this. Then your internal world is unsafe. You don't trust too many people. You don't trust,
exactly. So.
And you don't trust yourself because
right.
You've never learned to trust yourself. You were given messages. It's not okay to say that or do that. Or if you reach out and try to love someone, it might be taken the wrong way, or it's a difficult thing. And then, of course, am I loved? Safety is more important than being loved, because if we don't feel safe, we can't love.
Yeah.
The universe, it's a
It's
universal
a really
law.
important point. Sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So in the next question, in asking yourself, am I loved? The person to answer it is to yourself. Am I loved? Do I allow love in? Do I allow myself to
feel love?
And feel love. And if I do, then I'm creating security to allow my feelings to come out. So the next question is, can I feel? So going into something that you might have a difficult time having, for example, having a communication with your partner. There's some things I've been wanting to share with you, but I don't feel safe within myself, and I don't feel enough love here in this relationship to even tell you how I feel. I can't even get there. I'm afraid to. And then breaking down those blocks to even have a conversation about what you're feeling with somebody is very powerful. To say to your partner, I want to share my feelings with you, but I'm really afraid. I'm afraid of what you'll do to me. I'm afraid of, you might get angry. I'm afraid of the situation that will arise out of me opening up and sharing what I'm really feeling with you.
Sure. The fear of being vulnerable.
Exactly.
Real.
So I really try to help people. In my book, I talk about laying the foundation before you can even have an intimate discussion with your partner.
Yes.
If you have feelings of anger or feelings of hurt or feelings that to talk about, which many of us do, the thing that you have to do first is lay the foundation and make sure that your partner understands what you need from them, which is safety, to feel safe in communicating what you need to communicate, and then the feeling of reassuring me that you love me, that it's okay that I can say anything I want. I mean, I will work on reassuring myself, but I need to know that you're not going to go away if I tell you how I really feel.
That's sage advice. Now, I have a question that comes up, Sirah, which is, we all seek to be honest. Let's say that we seek to be honest with ourselves, and we want to be honest then with our mate. And, the mind is a very funny thing. It comes up with all sorts of stories and
Absolutely.
images and God knows what fantasies are. And what do you think, in your experience, both personally as well as a therapist over the years, is like there's almost seems that there's honesty and there's honesty. It seems like there's a way of being, say, too honest, where we're...
That's a good question. I think the thing that we must take ownership of first is wrestling with the very point you were saying, what my mind makes up all these things. I'm not sure about what I'm feeling. Is this right? Should I feel this? And we ask ourselves those questions.
Yes.
And go into, a lot of thoughts that are
and
very, very
lost.
confusing and getting lost in it.
Yeah.
And that's where I really believe that journaling, writing down things first, doing that cathartic work first is very powerful, because what it does is helps you weed out the things that are not pertaining to your private truth. And the things that are those other aspects.
It's clarifying.
It's clarifying.
Yeah.
It's focusing in on how you're affected by this person's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I also recommend that people make notes of things as they occur that bother them. And if things happen in a relationship more than a certain amount of times, like say 10 times, you've noticed that your partner does or says a certain things that hurts your feelings, then you know that you can validate it. It's true. It's really happening.
You've been scientific about it in a way.
About it, and it's hurt you.
Yeah.
So the thing to say is, it hurts me.
Right.
It hurts my feelings, not attack them. It just, when this happens, it really hurts me, and I've been aware of it for a while now. I've been making mental notes of how many times this has happened. I don't need to bring up my data. I think you know what I'm talking about, and of course, if they ask for the data, you have it. Because people often say, when did I do that? What are you talking about? Come on. Yeah, come on. Never
Give me a break.
Give me a break. You're just making it up.
Sure.
It's in
that
your
becomes
mind,
a content conversation.
In your mind, it's bigger than life.
Yes.
But in the other person, they're oblivious to the fact that they're hurting you. It's your job to make them aware that they're hurting you.
So in other words,
Otherwise, you're going to just pull away.
Right.
There's no intimacy in your relationship.
And intimacy consists of feedback.
Exactly.
Honest, real. There's a loop.
Intimacy is those three components. Feeling
safe,
feeling
loved,
and being able to feel. I feel hurt when you snuggle up with my best friend, and give her an extra special hug that, hurts my feelings, or you say something that attacks me, even though you're joking, it hurts my feelings.
Right.
Or whatever, the context of...
Would you speak to the whole other side of intimacy, which is, in a sense, you're referring to the darker, harder side, where we have to own our feelings, whatever they are, whether they're jealousy or envy or possessiveness or whatever those things may be lurking about, and identifying them over some time and speaking them. How about the other part of intimacy, which has to do with the good feeling, the warmth, the closeness? Because that can be scary for people too.
Oh, absolutely. If you were raised in a home where intimate communication was not a part of your experience with mother and father and brothers and sisters, of sharing feelings and that kind of thing, and yet, we all crave it and we all want it on some, then you grow up with a feeling of really wanting it, but not knowing how to achieve it.
Not even knowing how to ask for it or to attract it even.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the truth is, some of us have more problems owning and accepting and receiving love than we do giving it. It's so much easier to give it out than it is to actually allow someone to let to let it in, all the way in.
Wow. It's really true.
It's as big an effort for some of us as it is to let it out. And I think that I want to take it even deeper, because
Please.
it has to do with letting God in and letting the love of all that exists in the greater good, all creation, into your own heart and soul. And in any given moment we can experience, we can look at the most beautiful flower and really let it in. We can just look at it.
Merge with it.
Or
Yeah.
we can really let that flower enter us deeply. And we can do that with children as we're walking down the street. We see the eyes of a child that is just looking, wonderful.
Bright-eyed.
Yum, yum, yum. Have that feeling of this is so lovely, and let it in, even though, it's part of the creation. And I think that what I try to address in my book is, if we can allow ourselves the experience that we are spiritual beings.
Yes.
And we have that much power. It is far more powerful, and you're far more effective in love than you are in any other form. So, for example, in any relationship, love is the answer always. And being loving to yourself and finding love within, the
cosmos,
the greater arena, is the way to a fulfilling relationship. If that is held always as your first point of reference, okay, I can't figure this problem out now, it's in the here and now, and I'm having difficulty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to the greater reference and see what I can discover. I'm going to ask for guidance. I'm going to ask to be healed. If I have psychoanalyzed, if I've been to my therapist, if I have, written and done all my work and read every book on relationships I can, I still can't figure it out, and I've self-helped myself into oblivion, I'm going to just say, I can't do this alone. I need help. And go to bed every night with a prayer. I really believe in creating your own prayers. You don't need to go to any holy book for it. You are holy enough within yourself. And create a prayer that appeals and heals the moment.
Nicely put.
It can be anything at all.
Nicely put. I agree. In fact, one of the things you make reference to in the book that I enjoyed was this notion of spiritual esteem, which is kind of in accord with what you're speaking of now.
Well, let me explain that.
Please.
That's a great reference point.
Sure.
Self-esteem is governance of the self, is taking care of, nurturing, and fully realizing your own self in the context of how you relate to others, and feeling good about yourself.
Self-confidence.
Self-confidence and expressing yourself to the world and what you do in the world. And spiritual esteem is a higher resonance, if I can say that word on your show.
Oh, please do.
A higher resonance of that experience, where you're, instead of self being contained in self, you're contained now in a larger context. You have reached out and pushed yourself out into a larger realm of thinking. So it's not just about you. It's
your cosmic self.
It's the spiritual self that you take ownership of. So that you realize you are connected to so many other things that are affected by everything you do and every action you have, everything you believe in, a negative thought. That's spiritual esteem.
It has a reverberation.
Everything has a consequence. Everything. And if you can realize it in that larger context and take ownership of it, then your actions and your deeds are much more. It's a more evolved place to come from.
What you're saying, Sirah, is very much in keeping with the Native American tradition. I'm just reminded of thinking for every action you do today will have reverberations for 7 generations thereafter.
Absolutely.
And if we could be guided by even 3 generations thereafter, we would have a different world.
Absolutely.
So it's a very useful
It's that moment when you
phrase.
pick up
I like
bottle
that.
off of your counter that is a glass bottle, and the recycling bin is a half block away, and the thought crosses through your mind, should I put it in my recycling bag here, or should I just throw it in the trash because I'm in a hurry? It's okay. Catch yourself.
Exactly.
Put it in that bag and you will feel good. That's spiritual esteem. It's like you're caring about something greater than you.
Right.
That's 7 generations to come.
Exactly.
And know that you did something good in just that one moment of decision.
Exactly. That's right. And,
that happens in relationships. That's why I talk about it in my book.
When you step out of yourself to kind of do and act on behalf of another, or, based on our conversation prior to the show of motherhood and, and being, or parenthood really, that you step outside and nurture these beings outside of yourself, that you're not just self-oriented, but you're world-oriented.
That's right.
It's very powerful. I mean, talk about service. That's really stepping up to the plate.
You feel good about yourself. You feel, even if it's a
such
nanosecond.
a deep enrichment.
Exactly.
Yeah, what?
If it's a nanosecond of decision that you make not to speak unkindly of someone, or to do the recycling, or to contribute $5 to the guy that's sitting there on the street, I don't know.
That's right, sure.
It's just a moment of feeling connected in some way.
Right. That's
acting on those good impulses, and it brings about a tremendous sense of well-being, of happiness, of joy, of effectiveness in the world, and you're uplifted.
Hallelujah. That's great, right? I'm feeling uplifted already. No, really, I feel the messages in your book are very powerful and very desired by people, because it offers a guidance that people need. It's not some ordinary self-help book, not that have value, they have, but this is a much deeper cut. Let me put it in front of everyone again. It really is. It's getting down to the marrow, and the soul level, which is, you deal on the more superficial part of people getting along and, creating safety in themselves and then in a relationship, and then making those deeper cuts into the deeper intimacy of them with themselves, with each other, and then with the universe. And it's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, would you?
Thank you.
I mean,
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great to have you on the show.
It's been a delight.
Yeah. Would you like to share last words with our audience, if there was anything you'd like to say directly to them?
Well, I just
in our last moment?
So much the work that you're doing, and we'll be supporting all of your efforts and sending lots of great people your way.
Oh.
Thank you so much for caring enough about these important ideas. You are serving a really great purpose here.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is Mitchell J. Rabin for A Better World. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that, like I did. Please give me a call at 212-420-0800. Share your thoughts and feelings with me. I love hearing from you. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.